Well, I guess the logical question then for me to ask is, do you actually believe in ghosts? Have you ever had a paranormal experience yourself?
I've had things that I couldn't explain.
Such as?
Well, when my mother died, we were living in Tennessee at the time. She was back in Wilmington. And once we got, after a funeral, we got back to Tennessee. It was like her presence was in the room, which would have been so typical of her to call and say, "Did you get home safely? How are the kids doing?" So that's just one of others.
Now, of course, this is a fictional novel, so you have a little bit more room to play around there.
Right.
And everybody, you know, who has read a ghost story, typically we love these kinds of stories. They're awesome. So how much of this is based on, say, your personal experience, and how much of it is just your imagination?
Oh, it's all imagination, truly. The only real connection when being a WAC, and her name is Connie, and I had an aunt named Connie who wanted to be a WAC, and my grandmother wouldn't allow it because it was not ladylike. So that's the only true connection I could find.
And it sounds like the landscape of southeastern North Carolina as well, and eastern North Carolina in general.
And the animals, the turtles, the loggerhead turtles, too.
That's great. Well, now, if you're watching at home, again, the topic of our discussion here today is focused primarily. I want to, you know, promote the books here and let you guys at home know about these authors' books. But then I want to turn this into kind of an educational discussion as well, because the authors that we have in studio are self-published authors. And as you can see, looking at home, these books that are being self-published today, and in the past 5 to 10 years, self-publishing has come a long ways, look just as good as any book that you're going to find from a major publisher. And so I want to kind of steer the discussion at this point into that direction a little bit. I've got a copy of Richard's On a Rising Tide here. Now, just a little bit about On a Rising Tide, Richard, if you will. Why did you decide to self-publish it?
I think the main reason I decided to self-publish, Stacey, was control. I wanted to maintain control over the book. It had taken me several years to write it. It was a work of love, a labor of love, and it was my child, so to speak. So I didn't want to let it go too easily. And I contacted one publisher, and they wanted to publish the book. They liked it a lot. They liked the story. But he said, you have to cut 35,000 words. That was the stipulation for having a contract with them. And I cut 5,000 words, and I asked my friends if they could possibly find anywhere in the story that I could delete where it wouldn't hurt the original story, and to let me know. And nobody could find any place they would cut anything. So I think control, I wasn't going to sell my child, my book, out for X amount of dollars because it wouldn't be the same anymore. I wanted to appear just as I had written it. And I'm happy with the product that I've gotten. I had control over the cover, the appearance of the book, so I think it was a good choice for me.
Well, it's a great looking book, On a Rising Tide, and as you can see at home, I guess some of the major differences, if you're watching this and you're interested in the differences between self-publishing and what I'm calling traditional publishing, has a lot to do with how the books are distributed, the amount of money that the authors get. Now, you mentioned control, for example, and retaining the control of the actual, the rights to your book and how it's finally presented. Well, how about you, Christy? What about your book, the Spaniels book, An Ancient History of Dogs, Spaniels Through the Ages? Why did you decide to go with the self-publisher that you went with?
I selected the self-publisher that I used based on the affordability to the author. I found that upon researching the various self-publishing companies, that the costs involved in doing a self-publishing project ranged from literally zero to thousands of dollars. So as a recently retired educator on limited income, retirement income, I did not choose to spend my life savings to get my book published. It was a very affordable project, and selected this one as my first venture into the publishing world based on the costs.
Now, your book was published, what was the self-publisher?
Lulu Publishing.
Lulu Publishing
Is the company that published mine. It was also a very easy process to go through. Some of the companies that I had contacted in regards to self-publishing this particular book seemed to be and quite complicated in the process that they used. Lulu Publishing seemed to be a very easy, step-by-step outlined, and caught my eye as very affordable, so I selected that company. And I was very pleased with the results. There was no difference in the results of this book as far as the interior or exterior layouts and covers, sizes, etc., than another book that was traditionally published that I had done.
Now, I've done a little bit of research, so I know that Richard's book is published with Author House and Edith's is published with iUniverse. So we have an author representing Author House, an author representing Lulu, and then an author representing iUniverse here. Three different kinds of self-publishers. So if you're considering self-publishing options, this is the program you want to be watching. So Edith, talk a little bit about why you decided to go with iUniverse.
Well, my experiences were similar to Richard's and also to Christy's. I had to make it affordable, and iUniverse offered 4 different packages, and so I chose one that was not terribly expensive. And I also had Richard's experience of having, I wrote the book while we were in Tennessee, went through the whole deal about trying to get an agent, and it would cost me more money to do that and what have you. Put the book up, went back to graduate school, and then we moved to North Carolina. And at that point I decided I didn't want to try agents and what have you anymore. I just wanted to see this thing in print. And I enjoyed iUniverse because they assign you a helper, a mentor that you can communicate with, and to sort of walk you through every step of the process.
So you felt there was always somebody that you could communicate with if you had questions or concerns about it. I think that's crucial if you're considering self-publishing options, is that you can actually chat with somebody. I did an event just last night in Borders, at a Borders bookstore here in North Raleigh, and we had a fellow who I chatted with afterwards, and he said that he was considering different self-publishing options. One of the self-publishers had actually responded to his emails and said, sure, come on down, we'd love to chat with you about the book. Another one didn't, and he felt more comfortable with the one that was more open and communicative. Well, Richard, talk a little bit about Author House and some of the more positive things that you've experienced by going through Author House, some of the benefits, I guess.
Well, the benefits are that Author House offers so many different options. I mean, you can either choose a bare bones way to publish, or you can go, you know, in first class. And I chose kind of middle of the road. I didn't want to spend too much money. I was keeping my eye on the checkbook. But I'm very, very happy. I assigned a design team, and like Edith had said, you work with them. If you have any questions, or if they have any questions of you as to how you want your book presented, you know, to let them know. And every step of the way, I either had to approve or give them advice on what I wanted. So I was very much in control.